Hi again. I'll do a follow-up today, reading lesson 15 of this book. We got into some pretty interesting things with the number 13 and everything, and their numerology. Now, lesson 15, opening the seal of Solomon, the seven orders, Melchizedek, Enoch, Seth. What are the seven orders set upon the 13 stars of the six-pointed star of our seal? We have studied the law of 13, the legend of Solomon's seal, and the death of Hiram, the Grand Master of the temple. We shall now open the seal, remembering that the legend speaks of Solomon as the conserver of the jewel found upon the breast of Hiram, of his building an alabaster altar and setting the seal upon its top, sealing the entrance and forbidding any return to the crypt. As for that place, it shall remain unknown until God gather Israel in a faraway age, said Solomon. The age is now come, and we open the seal. In what way do we open the seal? By close inspection, we noted the six-pointed star or double golden triangle is set in the 13 stars within the wreath of white roses, 48 in number, a rose for each state, and a state for each of the 48 star groups. Each white rose to symbolize a sacred college for a state. The emblem consists in its design of the shadowing forth of the seven orders of the ancient world, one at each point of the six-pointed star, the seventh, which is the rose cross, in the center. Explain the seven mystic orders. 3 orders are assigned to the downturning black point. These deal with the physical and practical needs of humanity. The first of these orders is the Militia Crucifera. That's Crucifera, spelled Crucifera. Militia Crucifera Evangelica. Of this order, Dr. R. Swinburne-Clymer, in his book The Rosicrucians, Their Teaching, says, quote, the order Militia Crucifera Evangelica, as such, was founded by Simon Steudion in the year 1527. This was not the actual beginning of the order, but merely the reinstituting of the association of men under that name. Records show that the teachings forming the foundation of this order were the outgrowth of those taught by the Magi of the East, by the Egyptians, and later by Paracelsus, as well as by the Arabian initiates. The militia, as it is at present, has been the door through which the neophyte or aspirant had to pass in order that he might be allowed, after certain tests and obligations, to enter the inner and higher work of the fraternities. No man then was, or at present is allowed, to enter either the Magi, the Rosicrucia, or the Eighth fraternities, except through the door of the militia, for this is the chamber of obligations. This law is universal. As the name of the order implies, all had to take the oath of and become soldiers or protectors of these fraternities and their sacred knowledge and practices before they were allowed to enroll for the secret sciences and minor and major mysteries. This rule applies today as aforetime, unquote. Under the banners of the Militia Crucifera Evangelica, all knights and soldiers battling for the Lord will eventually gather for the last battle of Armageddon, a battle with the forces of Satan or Lucifer. So you have that Bible prophecy, language that these guys always tend to use. That's one thing that got me is, I didn't understand is, when I was listening to Bill Cooper, somebody talking about that, these are the forces of Lucifer. And then I go and read this later on, and that it was the opposite. These people are pretending to be the army of Jesus, the army of light versus army of darkness. I began to understand more and more of that. And so I began to wonder, because he would use this same language too within his programs, and other people, not just him, not picking on him, that we're getting ready for this battle between the forces of light versus the forces of darkness, the forces of the Christians and the people who believe in the one God versus the forces of the serpent. And, I started to notice within, these books that's what they talked about, and that's what they claimed to be. That they were gonna, that the mystery schools, there's two different, kinds. There's a good mystery school of light. There's a mystery school of darkness. The right-hand path, the left-hand path, whatever. But I've always kind of knew that it's like our politics, you're gonna, I mean, within the inner circle of both these branches is what I quoted in my last video, P.B. Randolph, but he said that there is a vast secret brotherhood, and that there is, and Manly P. Hall talks about that, by the way, too, and many others, that there is a secret brotherhood within these orders. And so the secret brotherhood probably does control the top, these, both the right-hand path and left-hand path of occult organizations. I think that makes sense. I guess I could be wrong, but point I'm getting at is, these people are, sounding a lot like, the Christian right, the alt-right, people that are, saying Armageddon is at hand. And after reading this, I began to wonder and eventually find out that all that was just some more of their deception, But anyways, I'm rambling. And the next orders of the downturn point, the order of alchemy is placed at another point of the downturn triangle. Anciently, chemistry was called alchemy. Rather, chemistry, as we know it today, is a lesser growth or science out of alchemy. It was the struggle of material science to discover the secrets of the alchemists, which gave us the modern science of chemistry, today working rapidly to that borderland between visible and invisible, which leads to the inner world of the real, invisible to material vision. The order of alchemy consists of scientists able to cope with the so-called fourth dimension and carry the discoveries in healing arts to the last analysis, the aetheric fire science of healing. That's not regular etheric, the normal word etheric. They add an A to it. So it's aetheric, aetheric. That's how I pronounce it. And the third order of the downturn point is that of the fraternity of Osiris, the so-called Egyptian rite, restored from the Egyptian wisdom of Moses about 1770 by the Count di Cagliostro. Neither this order nor any other genuinely occult order can be entered by the mere payment of a fee and undergoing an outward rite of initiation. The candidate must be prepared by self-conquest and purification, and these he must attain in the first of the orders of the upturn point. What is the name of this first order of the upturn point? Of the three upon the white upturned point, which interlaces with the lines of the downturned point, the first is the Illuminati Americani. Now, I believe that this is Latin for the American Illuminati. So, you could very well say that because they do admit in these books anyways of the Illuminati within this order. This order of the heavenly hierarchies may be termed, for want of a better name, the Sunday school of the incoming mighty church of the one shepherd of illumination, by millions, long looked for and long heralded. Through its courses, the aspirant develops a master mind, a perfect body, and prepares the soul for the degree rites of the fraternity of Osiris. So there's these orders, deeper than in the Illuminati. After you get past that, that's when you get into the fraternity of Osiris, and yeah. And what of the second order on the upturn point? This is the well-known order of the Magi, or of Persia, one of whose representatives visited the cradle of Jesus. This order was once the light of a great civilization of Persia, as attested by its many ruins, and especially its temples of Solomon in the Vale of Kashmir. The Druids of Britain were called the Western Magi. The round towers of Ireland bear close resemblance to the Persian towers of illumination. The connection between Britain and Persia has been very close in the past. There remains two more orders of the six-pointed star or seven-star jewel. Yes, the next order is the new priesthood, the ministry of the Aeth, the highest atmosphere. This is in fact the order of Melchizedek, of which Jesus was said to have been a member after his trials were here completed. See Hebrews chapter 7, verse 17 and other passages. Membership in the Aeth priesthood implies that the priest may never return to earth again in the flesh. Such was Melchizedek, of whom it is written. See Hebrews chapter 7, verses 1 through 16. Remember, this is their interpretation of the Bible. I don't believe in any of this shit. I'm reading it because it's sharing information that I gathered through my research on what these secret societies believe about the Bible. So don't get me wrong when I'm reading this. I'm not like showing you here, I found this written, it must be true. So after the similitude of Melchizedek, who is made not after the law of a carnal commandment, but after the power of an endless life, unquote. And Hebrews chapter 7, verses 1 through 3, quote, this Melchizedek, priest of the Most High God, without father, without mother, without genealogy, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, unquote. The priests of this order have lifted or transmuted the lower nature and have become, before ordination, masters. There but remains the order of the Rose Cross for definition. The Rose Cross Order, White Rose for America, whose members have met death from century to century by rack, stake, and torture at the hands of the ignorant masses for whose salvation they appeared, and at the instigation of the Lucifers. This order, as already stated, forms the center of the six-pointed star, forming a seventh point, which turns upward. It is the heart of the Pleiades. Its sign is the cross and the moon and sun, appearing every 2,500 years as our sun passes into a new constellation. So, I just wanted to go over this first part here, because you get a little hint at what they're talking about with the Lucifers. They were persecuted. Obviously, in the history of these ancient mystery schools, you will find that they were persecuted and tortured, we are told anyways in our history, by the hands of particularly the Roman Catholic Church, when that became the state church, by churches everywhere they went anyways, everywhere they were. Their temples, their libraries were all destroyed and everything, so they went underground. And that's who they're meaning by the ignorant masses. At the instigation of the Lucifers. So, when they're talking about Lucifer, it's talking about, because their enemy, Satan, is basically ignorance, what they call ignorance. Manly P. Hall had 3 words for it: ignorance, superstition, and fear. He used that a lot in a few of his books. So the church they consider of Satan, because to them the church is ignorant, and they only believe in the exoteric of the Bible, which causes them to be ignorant and in darkness. But anyways, yeah, so that's what they're meaning by the Lucifers here. You have already stated that the members of the Rose Cross Order were called Essenes, now Rosicrucians? Yes. Anciently, they were the inner Gnostics, as was Seth, architect and builder of the pyramids. Later, the name Gnostic became Essene in the time of Jesus. This school was also known as the Hillel School of Jerusalem. Before the Dark Ages, they were named the Hermetists from Hermes Trismegistus, another name of Noah. After the coming of Christian Rosencreutz, they took the name of Rose Cross, Rosae Cruci, Rosicrucians, although the sign has always been that of this order. What is a Rosicrucian in truth? A true Rosicrucian never states that he is such. Interesting. He merely claims to be on the path. Jesus was in his day supreme grand master. Those who have taken up his cross have, like Hypatia, been torn to pieces, murdered as was Manes, for strict adherence to the law that self-mastery must be attained before the greater mysteries may be known. Countless martyrs have followed Jesus to death and torture, as did De Molay and Cagliostro. De Molay was Grand Master of the Templars at the time when they were being persecuted in the 1300s. Who brought the Rosicrucian teaching to America? Will you sum up the teaching? It is said the teaching never became extinct in Mexico. In 1770, it was brought to the United States through the Count de Cagliostro. The first Grand Lodge was founded by P.B. Randolph, Abraham Lincoln's advisor and teacher, August 1857. April 2nd, 1905, to bring the history down to date, R. Swinburne Clymer took seat as Supreme Grand Master of the Order of the Rose Cross, exalted Grand Master of the Illuminati Americani of the world, and Supreme Grand Hierarch of the princes and priests and Melchizedek of the universe. Of the Rosicrucians, Dr. Randolph says, quote, "They hold that deity dwells within the shadow beyond the everlasting flame," unquote. Oh, I'm sorry, it looked like a quote there. Nope, he continues. "They hold that deity dwells within the shadow beyond the everlasting flame, that all things, especially the human soul, are forms of fire, that man is not the only intelligence in nature, but that the aerial spaces abound with multiform intelligences, having conscious origins in aeth, as man has his in matter, and that there are grades of these towering away in infinite series of hierarchies, human and ultra-human, to an unimaginable eternity," unquote. And aeth, what is aeth? That word I was telling you about, that A-E-T-H, the aeth priesthood. The highest, finest, and purest atmosphere, fire, aetheric power, God, aura, doubly sexed, a most rapid vibration of ether, and existing in man as the conscience, directable, divine spark from God, man's soul. In the aetheric circle center the 7 great orders of the United States seal. That was a mouthful. Like the part where it talks about the last battle of Armageddon with the forces of Lucifer. And that's what all this Bible prophecy being talked about, I think, is all about. It's all about, the secret society's agenda of, fulfilling Bible prophecy and their understanding and interpretation of it, not the way the Bible should be interpreted. I did numerous videos showing that the apostles and Jesus hinted at that they were living in those last days, and that the last days were in the first century. Jesus said that, he would come before that first century generation passed away. Matthew chapter 24, verse 34. That was my original purpose with these videos, is to show that, because there's a lot of deception within all these cults, secret societies, churches, YouTube channels, claim to be Christian, that we are in these last days. And I just know in my gut that even though there's the potential danger of an Armageddon-like scenario, it is certainly not the specific Armageddon mentioned in Revelation. This is being used to deceive us into accepting it as a part of a script. Many people will tell you, don't get in the way, it's Bible prophecy being fulfilled. So that is my purpose here with those videos. Anyways, thank you for listening. Take care.